The approach needs to be efficient, cost-effective, and sustainable.
LACCD has undertaken a very ambitious venture here, implementing a digital twin.
Some of the benefits of having an open-end system is that now our techs from one campus to the other, they carry that training.
Connecting with the end users before a solution is implemented is, in my opinion, an overlooked step in digital solution implementations.
Well, good morning. Thank you for allowing us an opportunity to speak with you about the LACCD Digital Twin Meditech Initiative and share with you some of the things that we're doing with the Los Angeles Community College District. This program is designed to improve facilities management. First, I'd like to introduce my colleagues, myself. My name is Dean Felton. I am Director of Facilities for West Los Angeles College, a member college of the Los Angeles Community College District. Mr. Javier Tobias, he's with LACCD as well. Javier is our Central Plant Utilities Infrastructure Project Manager. Next is Lissa Metoyer. Lissa is with Jacobs, and she is the client representative for the Digital Twin Meditech Initiative. And then we have Dr. Rebeca Gomez. Dr. Gomez is with InnoActive, and she is the subject matter expert for the initiative. So I'd like to start first with, who are we? Los Angeles Community College District. We are the largest community college district in the nation, comprised of 9 colleges and 2 administrative centers. Our district area covers 900 square miles and span across 30 cities within the Los Angeles County. We service approximately 200,000 students a year, with 80,000 students that come from underserved communities. We're a district of limited resources. Our operations and management budgets are paltry, or they are definitely minimally undersized and not likely to increase. We're already stretched short. We have data and information systems that don't talk to one another. We strive to be a good community partner, and we also strive to lower the total cost of ownership of our facilities. A bit about what we're doing. We've received $14.9 billion in bond funding. The voters of California, of Los Angeles County, have passed 5 bond measures. The first in 2001 for about $1.2 billion. The last 2022 for about $5.3 billion. We have multiple projects that are underway. We have an annual spend around $350 to $450 million. This year, our current spend is upwards of $600 million and growing. In July of 2020, the district passed the Clean Energy and Sustainability Resolution, in which it committed $75 million to this effort and set milestones of 2030 and 2040 for the elimination of carbon-based energy. This initiative builds on the California Senate Bill 100, which has a goal of generating 100% renewable carbon-free electricity by the year 2045. This provides LACCD the opportunity to achieve carbon neutrality, to build resiliency across our campuses, to ensure the health, social equity of our constituents, and the well-being of all of our stakeholders and the community. Our path to sustainability, as I mentioned in 2001, sustainability and design standards, and these standards became the cornerstone of our sustainability efforts. We moved rapidly in 2009 to achieve LEED certification. And along the way, we've placed a focus on the social aspects of serving the members of the underserved communities within our district. As such, environmental justice is a big challenge, and we strive to make sure that there's an environmental and equity component to the work that we do. In 2020, again, the Clean Energy and Sustainability Resolution committed the district to these critical milestones. In 2030, the resolution calls for the elimination of carbon-based electricity, and in 2040, to eliminate or to ensure that all other energy sources are from clean, renewable sources. So, a couple questions come up. How do we hit these goals and milestones that were established by the resolution? And how do we measure and report on those commitments. The approach needs to be efficient, cost-effective, and sustainable. And in an effort to achieve that, the district has leveraged the shared governance mechanisms of the California Community College system, campus stakeholders, in collaboration with the community. These efforts produced two key documents: the Sustainability Vision Plan and the Integrated Energy Resource Plan. And these district efforts produced actionable items from that point forward. This is an example of one of our building initiatives. So all of our, we strive to make sure that our HVAC systems are all fully electrified. We've incorporated into our designs perforated shading louvers to control heat transfers. And we utilize cool roofs with photovoltaic systems. All of these endeavoring to create a path to decarbonization and a healthier campus for the future. One of our main challenges is utilization. So as I mentioned earlier, the district utilizes multiple information systems, but the problem is that there's not interoperability within the systems. They deliver data that remains in silos and it does not make for easy access between does not provide for the ability for us to share that information amongst shareholders within the district. And this may be triggering for some, but we hear at the district often we're asked to do more with less and to do better with less. We don't see any relief for funding, additional funding and resources in the future. The LACCD response is to address the issue with automation and technology to reach our sustainability goals. Students and employees both require healthy and comfortable environments, and this technology require healthy and comfortable spaces. And in fact, these requirements are codified in the California Education Code, where there are trigger actions if ambient temperatures in our spaces are not within a prescribed band temperature. This technology creates the opportunity for us to increase the livable wage of our employees, as this technology will drive skill development. The digital twin will also allow plant facilities the opportunity to reach these operational goals, and bringing all this data into one place.
Yeah. Okay, so to address some of the issues and to achieve some of the goals that Dean just gave us an outline of, LACCD developed an integrated energy resource plan, which we call an IERP. This is our roadmap to sustainability. The integrated energy resource plan, it has 5 main pillars in order to achieve the goals outlined before. One of them is to install electric vehicle charging stations. We are planning to have 25% of the total parking spaces available throughout LACCD to have an electric vehicle charging station installed. We are also in the process of decarbonizing our central plants. The way we are doing this is by removing all fossil fuel burning equipment that produces heating and replacing it with newer technologies. Some of that technology may be heat recovery chillers, a combination of air source heat pumps with electric heaters, as it is allowed by the California Energy Commission. The third pillar will be energy efficiency. So we are going around and retrofitting all of our buildings with LED lights and changing all of our motors with VFDs and more higher efficiency motors. We also are building on-site renewable energy with PV systems, but this time we are not just installing PV systems, we are also installing battery energy storage systems so that we can later on become a self-sustainable campus, therefore a self-sustainable district. And so we are integrating our facilities with operating systems for the digital twin. One big task that we have taken on is to upgrade our BMS system district-wide. So being a multi-campus district, for some reason, before I was there was no standard, right? So every campus kind of had its own system working, and they didn't really talk to each other. So we went ahead and did some homework, And we came to the conclusion that Niagara 4, which is developed by Tritium, was the system that would allow us to be coherent as a district, right? 9 campuses and 2 satellites, and not talking to each other was not the way to go. So we had 2 options. We had Tritium Niagara 4, or we had proprietary systems. We selected Tritium Niagara 4. Some reasons to do that was to stay away from proprietary systems. We are a public entity, therefore we have to comply with many contracting codes in California that doesn't allow us to always go to a single vendor. So by having Niagara, it allows us now to have open up competition. We have many system integrators in the area that give us competitive prices, and we are allowed to select the best. Some of the benefits of having an open-end system is that now our techs from one campus to the other, they carry that training that they learn in one of their campuses when they get promoted to another campus, they don't have to learn a whole new system all over again. It also, Niagara is a greatly supported system. Many people in our area can work on it. And it allows us to gather so many types of communication protocols, including HVAC, lighting, power, access, alarms. And so the gathering of all of that data is creating a database that will later be used by the digital twin.
Thanks, Javier. Okay, so LACCD has undertaken a very ambitious venture here, implementing a digital twin. Their executive sponsor had a vision, and he asked for what the district wanted and needed, which is to do more with less but better for their facilities. So we started defining this vision. What does the digital twin look like for this client, for LACCD? And as this space knows, there's not one standard definition for digital twin. There's many. So we carefully curated and adopted our own definitions. We used a reality capture definition from RCN. We put our vision statement together. We have our definition for digital twin for this client. And this client, what they want is they want a digital twin where they can see all of their operations for their buildings or assets in one place in real time for all of their different types of users, from executives down to technicians. So there's one single source of truth. Everyone is pulling from the same place. All the data is the same. All the information is coming from the same place. So as we do in the built environment, we started programming with a series of meetings, series of workshops, hours and hours and hours. Can't tell you how long, hours. So we defined how many phases, how many goals, objectives, 2 really large things since this client does have limited resources. ROI, return on investment, is a huge thing. We must prove it and report back to the taxpayers who approve the bonds and to the board who approves all of the spending. And we must lower the total cost of ownership. We defined the stakeholders. We built tailored use cases. And the use cases that we built with this client alongside them actually solve a problem, a real world problem in each one of their facilities across the district. We defined our strategy, and we took a very unorthodox approach. We built from the users, we call it kind of the ground level, the folks that are out at the facilities, and we're building it alongside them. So Dean's team, his lead HVAC, electricians, grounds, custodial, we are working with them. We collected, what do they need? What do they want? How do they want to see the information? Where do they want to see the information? If they had a magic wand, what would they ask for? So we've taken this approach, because typically in the built environment, new facilities will come out with some solution and they will push it down to existing facilities, Dean's team or college, and say, here you go, here's a solution, go ahead and use it. Well, anyone in the built environment knows what happens to that solution. It just gets shelved. And that's a huge investment. This would be a huge investment if it got shelved. So for better adoption, we have chosen to build from ground up. So our strategy is approaching it from a project development and launch standpoint, and the solution will be a tool for existing facilities, just like they would use a multimeter.
As Lissa mentioned, we were very intentional about following a user-centric approach for digital twin development. We started off from a vision and a set of desired outcomes, which have been shared by my colleagues here. And then we took the vision and converted it into specific actionable points by doing product discovery, which in reality is doing due diligence that is done early on in the process so that we can mitigate risks down the line. Connecting with the end users before a solution is implemented is, in my opinion, an overlooked step in digital solution implementations. And this is what we do in product management. We start by understanding the people who are going to use the solution, the tool, and we try to understand what the greatest challenges are at the time. So what are functional workshops? You can see the definition here. So it's a workshop that is interactive, is focused, is a structured session where we encourage the team members to collaborate so that we can understand and outline the specific user needs and the functionalities for a new product or feature. These time sessions are time-boxed, so they have to be very well designed, facilitated, and timed to make sure that we stay focused and that we collect all the information that we need within the time that we've been given. We have met with many different groups, but with the facilities folks, we explored 9 different use cases, and we talked about a lot of the systems, more than 50 systems. So there was a lot of ground to cover. And needless to say, when these folks are workshopping with us, they are not taking care of their day jobs, which is to take care of these campuses, right? So we had to be, and we wanted to be very mindful to make sure that we didn't go over time, while we made sure that we took the information that we needed to take the project to the next stage. On this picture, you can see Dean and his team working on one of the exercises that we did during the workshops. So I wanted to emphasize that the tactical goal of conducting these activities is no other than to inform the definition of solution requirements. And we do so by understanding the user's pains, gains, and the jobs to be done, the jobs that actually they do on a daily basis. We also took a look at the systems that they have in place, in part to start creating the systems inventory, but also to understand how well the systems fulfill the needs. But I'm not going to talk about that piece today because of time constraints. So you can imagine what happens when you conduct so many hours of interviews with 30 people. You end up with a lot of information to sort through. So on this image, you can see just a snapshot, and that list goes on and on and on. It's all the feedback that we collected during these workshops, the topic that the feedback covers, the use case where it was identified, whether it's a recurring topic or not, and then the type of persona who brought it up. So what do we do next? Obviously, there's no solution that can do all of these things at once, so we had to take a step back and think about what the priorities to implement first should be, right? And this forced us to start asking some questions. And the questions are we going to solve all of these challenges for one persona or for several personas? And if so, for who? Are we going to tackle the low-hanging fruit? Are we going to tackle the most recurring items? Are we tackling the items that create the most value? But if so, this has the potential implication that the solution has a lot of interdependencies. It might be very hard to actually implement. So are we prioritizing time to implementation? So we had to ask and to answer a lot of these questions along the way. And these are just some examples of the type of segmentations that you can make to answer some of these questions. Because depending on how you slice and dice all of these user feedback, you get different answers as to what the priorities should be. At the end of the day, with leadership, we defined what the priorities should be based on the criteria that we jointly created, and then we created a list of requirements for the digital twin solution. And so, because I've been talking about functional workshops, I wanted to leave you with some of my takeaways. The first thing I wanted to say is that the functional workshops for the participants, and in particular for people who are not used to conducting these collaborative sessions, can feel foreign at first, but they get easier very quickly. So on this image, this is just my hand-drawn chart. Apologies for the lack of quality in it. It's a whiteboard chart. So at the end of each day during these workshops, I wanted to collect how people felt while doing each of the exercises. So you can see the mood was high on the top. On the y-axis, you can see the mood. And on the bottom, you can see, dissatisfied. And then on the x-axis, you can see the different activities that we did during the workshops. And on the first day, you can see the orange line is how the mood went up and down, right? So some of the exercises felt very comfortable, some of them didn't, and they were kind enough to share this feedback with me. I asked them to be very honest. And what this proved is that this is very normal. It's a normal feeling. It's not expected that things are going to run very smoothly from the beginning. On day 2, things went better. There were ups and downs, but still, it was overall better for everybody. And then on the 3rd day, they were total pros. They felt great. They flew through the exercises. It was amazing. So I wanted to say that these workshops are basically doing due diligence in an interactive, human-centric way. They also help us understand and validate the relevance of the problems that we are trying to tackle with a digital solution before spending a lot of money in an implementation. And then we were able to achieve a higher definition of solution requirements. And then an important thing to note is that we learned things that we didn't know, right? And we also were able to collect a great diversity of perspectives. And my last takeaway is, if you have to run these activities, these workshops, and you have to cut something down because you are running out of time, don't cut the icebreakers, because don't underestimate the power of icebreakers. They're a great way to getting people comfortable and talking and collaborating, which is the ultimate purpose of these workshops.
Thanks, Rebecca. So I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure we're over our time. So as we move through phase 1, the programming phase, we defined, we discovered, we provided gap analysis on the systems, on the network, for the data, on the current state for this client, LACCD. And we arrived at a recommendation for a solution for them. So a couple things. One, we first focused and addressed one of the biggest risks for LACCD, and that's class cancellation. We can't cancel classes. That's just, it's a huge thing. So issues around that, the core systems around that are HVAC, fire alarm, lighting, irrigation, and work order management system. We need to and will create a single source of truth for their decision making. The second thing is we need good, clean data. So we start with reality capture first. We'll utilize the design drawings. We'll utilize the BIM models. We'll utilize the as-builts. As-builts are obsolete within a year or less. We know they're not complete, so that's why we need to start with a good foundation with reality capture. And then last, I've already covered this, but we must engage and build this solution arm in arm with existing facilities, Dean's team, and the other stakeholders. We must build it, we must test it, we must implement it with them if they are going to use it. So as we move into phase 2, currently, if you didn't know, we have a active procurement. Check it out on Planet Bids. We're looking to procure digital twin services. So for this solution we just explained here, we have that active procurement out there. You will very quickly see in the next couple of weeks requests for qualifications for reality capture services. That'll be on Planet Bids as well. And then we can get started building, testing, and implementing the digital twin at our first campus, which is Dean's campus, West LA College. So what have we learned so far? We just got started. We're a little over a year out. So number 1, commitment. Commitment at the highest level, the executive sponsor level, the executive champion level. It is so important, and it sends a message to everyone in the organization. Our executives are involved in the fine details. 2, get rid of silos, remove silos. They are just problems. You heard it from Javier. Standardize where you can, IT, BMS, etc. And with that standardization, it's important to keep an as-is current list of everything that the client has, whether it's IT, whether it's systems, whether it's software, whether it's assets. It is much cheaper and more efficient if our client keeps this information than hiring consultants like us to go find that and rabbit hole and put it together for them. It is so expensive. So it's better if the owner does that themselves. Start with the users. This is like the 3rd time I've said this throughout this presentation. Start with the users, a ground-up approach. It will have a much larger adoption. And for such a large investment, you want that high level of adoption. This approach that we're taking with the client is a paradigm shift. And so adopting a robust process like organizational change management alongside every single activity that we are doing in this initiative, in our opinion, is a must. The built environment, the construction environment, is the slowest to adopt and adapt. And so applying an organizational change management approach is very much needed. Don't be afraid to go to the market. Don't be afraid. If your documents and your requirements are not perfect, they're never going to be perfect. But go to the market, let the market tell you what they'll provide, what kind of solution they can provide. And last, always give back. We want to make this industry and this space better. Don't be shy to share your trials and errors. We're going to make mistakes along the way. So you prepare your environment and share it so then we can make each other better, and you're not making the same mistakes we've made. We're happy to share with you guys. Thank you so much for letting us share today with you.